Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Oh my God, it all works. Good evening, malcontents. I am the malcontent. Today is Monday, Indigenous Peoples Day. Christopher Columbus can suck a bag of dicks. October 11th, 2021. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, hey there, yarg. Avast, mateys and pirates and all of that other good stuff. Yarg, yarg, yarg. All right, I'm going to try to keep the show short. I know I say that and then I end up rambling for 2 hours, but there you go, exactly. F Columbus and the A. Columbus is a piece of trash. I'm tired if you can't tell. We'll start talking about Columbus and what a piece of trash he is. We slagged him out real good last year. We'll just slag him out a little bit here. We'll slag him out for a little bit here. How bad was Christopher Columbus was so bad. How bad was he? Christopher Columbus was so bad that in 1500, the Royal Crown, Queen Isabella, was like, I'm hearing some sketch stuff is going on over there, and I want you to go figure it out. And like, if the stuff is like as sketchy as I hear, you need to arrest his sorry ass. So they sailed over there, and they're like, oh my God, it's even worse. And so Christopher Columbus was arrested for essentially crimes against humanity in 1500 against the indigenous people of what would be modern-day Hispaniola, and was sent back to Spain in chains. He was tried. He avoided the chopping block. He was able to keep his head attached to his wrist of his body, but he was stripped essentially of all of his titles and almost all of his wealth, never really recovered from any of that. And here's the interesting backstory to this. In 1484, Queen Isabella authorized the Spanish Inquisition, coordinating with the Vatican and the Pope, and she's the person that was like, yeah, Torquemada should be in charge of all of this. And so the height of the atrocities of the Spanish Inquisition went from about 1487 to 1530. So understand what was going on with the auto de fe during the Spanish Inquisition and how all of this was kind of done like this big, hey, everybody, we're going to go have a big party and then we're going to watch people get tortured and burned to death. It's going to be a great time. This was how the Spanish passed their free time from 1487 to about 1530 on a very large scale. Technically, the Spanish Inquisition didn't end until 1834, another horrifying thing that I described. If you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, Queen Isabella, that can't be this. Yes, it is. It is the same Queen Isabella who was like, hey, Chris, yeah, I'll fund this stupid trip that you got for. Why not? Yeah, it's the same one. And so this is also the same Queen Isabella in 1500 that was like, holy shit, this guy is completely out of control. So that's how big of a piece of shit Christopher Columbus was. He was committing atrocities against the native people on Hispaniola that was so horrifying that these same people that were running the Inquisition and who would have looked at those native peoples in Hispaniola, the indigenous population, is little more than slaves. Let's not forget that also. And it was just like, we got to stop this. It's got to. Columbus killed 250,000 people. He's a bag of smack. No reason to be celebrating this guy. So there you go. Lori, hello. Ursine, hello. Renee, hello. Kayla, Ilbarin, Kelly, Kimberly, Shelly, Rashi, Brenda. Oh, it was Linda. I was going to say there's a story behind Brenda. Carrie. Multiple Carries. All right. We've talked about Columbus Day. We've checked that off the list on what a bag of smack that guy was. And he was a total bag of smack. We got a fair amount of news that has come out of, on the COVID front, including some stuff that I know that people have been asking about. Before I'm going to talk about that, I am going to talk about one other thing. It's on our Twitter. I've put it out there. I'm going to put it out there on the air tonight, too. Learn today that OPA case 2020 OPA 0579 was closed on January 5th, 2021. And it was closed with no rules were broken and we're not going to do anything. Now, you probably might be going, well, what's the significance of 2020 OPA 0579? That was an investigation into Mike Solon. Now, we inquired back on May 21 of this year going, hey, we haven't seen a closed, right? We haven't seen a summary report. This has disappeared off of the dashboard, on the protest dashboard. So what's going on? And we got an email back on, we're still investigating. And we decided that this really wasn't about protests. So we took it off the protest dashboard. To come find out and learn today that the case was closed on January 5. And so anyway, we have an email into the OPA going, can you please explain to us why there has not been a published summary report like there is supposed to be with all of these closed cases? I mean, ultimately, right, the OIG has made multiple accusations that Meyerberg is essentially in bed with Spog and is not doing his job. Meyerberg's looking to get out of Seattle and go become Phoenix's special problem. And so it's like on the surface, we're like, it's like, God, I just don't want to be tinfoil hat and conspiratorial here. But it's like, isn't it kind of interesting that, we're just trying to sweep this Mike Solon. And let's not forget that Mike Solon was also having a second investigation that was going on when right after the insurrection, when he basically blamed it was Antifa. It wasn't the Patriots, it was Antifa, and he platformed Andy No. And that opened up a second investigation when multiple organizations called for his resignation because what a job. Mike Solon could do like, the Donald Trump. Personally, I think Donald Trump did shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue because anytime he says shit like that, it's a confession. Mike Solon could friggin' shoot somebody on Pine Street in like broad daylight with 100 witnesses, and he probably wouldn't get fired. He could just murder someone in cold blood if he wanted to. Not saying he did. I'm saying he could. Because the whole thing's corrupt. Anyway, let's just talk about that friggin' happy little bag of smack, right? Ursinate, yes, exactly. It went exactly. It's with Jenny Durkin's texts. That's perfect. I love it. Dora's in the house. Hello, Dora. All right, let's go through. It's a mixed bag of news for Washington State. For the COVID update, let's try to crank through this as quickly as possible. We crossed a grim milestone over the weekend. 8,000 Washingtonians have lost their lives and counting. We crossed over that over the weekend. I think we're at 8,037 or 8,054. Depends on the numbers that you look at. Everything is slowing down. New cases, hospitalizations, and fatalities. But we're on our. We got 2.5 months to go before the end of the year. Is it possible that we could reach 9,000? But I would say, yeah, it probably might be possible to reach this very grim milestone by the end of the year. So that's what I think is going on there. Oh, Dora, we all love Mike Solon. There was a time he was the gift that just kept on giving. We're just going to go ahead and burn through this. On the update, let's go over the COVID numbers. Okay, so the first thing is vaccination rates generally went up in every county in Washington. That shouldn't come as a surprise. There were a couple of counties where the needle didn't move very much. There's a few counties where the needle moved a lot more than, no pun on saying needle, just realize that. There are a number of counties where the vaccination rate for fully vaccinated, because what we're tracking is fully vaccinated all citizens. So we're tracking the lowest of the lowest numbers. And a couple of counties went up over 1%, which is a big jump. And some other counties, it barely moved. But for the most part, a lot of counties saw big jumps. There are now 5 counties that are more than 60% vaccinated. And again, that's fully vaccinated, all residents. So that isn't people 12 and above. It's every single human being, and Mike Solon, that lives in that particular county. There are now 5 counties over 60%. And what a shock. The counties with the highest vaccination rates have the lowest number of new COVID cases. I don't know what the connection is there. I don't know. I'm missing something. What am I missing here? Really? It's like the vaccine works. And what a shock. The 8 counties that are under 40% vaccinated, we're still at 8 counties. We were at 8 counties last week. I think that number will probably go to 7 counties next week. There's one county that's kind of inching up there, and I think that one will roll over above 40%. Anyway, yeah, they have 3 times more new cases than the ones that are the most vaccinated. And as you go down the data and you kind of balance the numbers out, the number of new cases goes up in the counties that are less vaccinated. Who'd have thought? Ferry County is now the shit show county in the state of Washington. They're at 1,175 new cases per 100,000 people, 14-day moving average. They saw a really, really big bump. You use the 14-day moving average because that really softens up the peaks and the valleys. So, they're going to start a little decline. Really, the good news is that the number of counties that are above 600. First of all, we shouldn't be tracking above 600. There shouldn't be any counties, right? I should be talking about these counties are over 300. It's like 300 is good still. We're not even there yet. So, stop talking logic. I know, I'm sorry. But truly, the good news is we are down to 1, 2, 3, 4. We're down to 5 counties that are between 800 and 1,000 cases. Columbia, Garfield, Grant, Klickitat, and Stevens. And most of those, Columbia, Garfield, Klickitat, and Stevens, are small counties with small populations. Counties that are between 600 to 800, because we're starting to track that as the numbers go down, that list is also smaller. The other thing is, yes, correct, Brian, the home of, Furry County. Good old Furry County. The home of Lauren Culp. Let's remember, Lauren Culp managed to get his police dog fired and the police department defunded. Way to go, Lauren. The other thing that we were tracking is like sometimes you would see a county and it's like, okay, it fell off the list, right? It's below, but it's like at 598. There are no counties that are like, well, this county's right under 1,000, or this county's right under 800, or this county's right under 600. The gap between the most vaccinated and least vaccinated counties continues to widen out. We saw a pretty good increase in the number of new cases for adolescents 12 to 19 years old. It's a pretty big jump, actually. And there was a pretty big jump in hospitalizations for birth to 19 years old. Full stop. Something's really important to understand. There weren't a lot of hospitalizations to begin with, so any jump, any move is going to push those numbers up a little. It's going to make that percentage go woo, because there's very few that were in the hospital to begin with. The adolescent hospitalizations, the 12 to 19-year-old one, that was kind of like, whoa, it almost doubled. And it's still half of what it is for 20 to 34-year-olds. I would have to go back and dig through reports. It may be darn close to the highest number of total adolescents we saw. And it was a very, very big jump. It essentially doubled over the weekend. Outside of that, new cases it's mixed. Some were up and some were flat. Hospitalizations, once you get under 19, they were flat or they were down, including 80 and above. USA Today COVID Tracker reported 50 deaths on Friday. And so that's kind of the current where we're at. Let's talk about Idaho. Our Twitch mods are amazing. I love my Twitch mods. Let's talk about Idaho. You're living in your own private Idaho. There's a database that's called Rhino, as in just like, the horn rhino, right? And the Rhino database is Washington State Department of Health data. You can pull it down, you can get customized reports, and you can get analysis on it. You have to explain what you want. There's fees attached to it, blah, blah, blah. During 2021, so far through 2021, the Washington State has accepted about 110 Idaho transfer patients a week. Now, remember, that's a flat line. So, I mean, that number goes like this, right? That number isn't flat. But we've been accepting as a state about 110. Now, on the surface, that's like, wow, it sounds like a lot of people. Washington State hospitalizes about 500,000 people a year. When I saw that in the data, I was like, what? Wait a minute, what? But then I kind of started and was like, oh, wow, it really is that high. So 110 a week comes out to about 4,300 so far for the year. You have to adjust because we know it's about 500,000 for an entire year, but we're looking at 10 and a half to about 10 months of data. So we're 9 months of data. We're still 3 months short. So it's maybe around 1 to 1.2% of all hospitalizations are coming from the state of Idaho. On the flip side, right, because you can torture numbers to say whatever you want to say. And I'm being very careful here because in the end of the day, this number is pretty darn small. On the other hand, Washington State right now is admitting close to 110 new COVID patients a day. So if you look at 110 a week, that means 6 of that 7, right? 6, one of those 7 days is essentially people from Idaho. The other thing is, because I'm just using COVID as an analogy, that isn't all COVID patients. We don't know what conditions there are. So the number wasn't as bad as I thought, but of course the other thing we know is that a lot of those Idaho patients are in Eastern Washington. They're not coming over here. So there you go. Let's talk about vaccination rates. This has been a big, yes, exactly. What area? That's statewide, Dora. It's 110 patients statewide. It's 110 patients from Idaho. We have no idea in the data like what hospital they're coming from. So, I saw that, Joy. I saw little clips of it. It was outstanding, and I am glad that other people are talking about. Oh, Roger, like I've done several videos on TikTok about how ByteDance and Facebook is corporate. They're the worst offenders by a landslide. Like, they do nothing. If anything, I would go as far to say that ByteDance, which is the owners of TikTok, is the worst. I would argue they amplify disinformation and misinformation on that platform. Let's talk about vaccination rates in the state of Washington. We got 7 days left. 92% of Washington state employees are fully vaxxed or have an approved exemption. It's 91.87%. I know every now and then when we get someone in the comment, you're a liar. fine. 91.87% where I went to school. You could round that to 92%. And there's 7 days to go in that to go there. 89.5% of all employees fully vaccinated. Another 2.4% have approved exemptions or accommodations. Now, let's read the tea leaves here, because we're at 92%. We know this because we can look. That number is through October 4, and today is to October 11. So we know that number's grown, right? We've had a week of data that we're not seeing in that report, and we know that number has grown. So how do we read the tea leaves here, if you forgive the vernacular? We can look at the Washington State Patrol. The Washington State Patrol in this report was at 89.9%, 90% vaxxed. That was on October 4. The Seattle Times reported that as of Thursday, October 7, the Washington State Patrol was 93% vaccinated. So that moved 3%. And then it's not a big leap of logic to go. You're probably, because we know that law enforcement as an organization is one of the least vaccinated vocations in the United States. So if the Washington State Patrol and law enforcement has moved 3%, I don't think it's a big leap to go, okay, if we were at 92% on the 4th, we're probably at about 95% statewide. There are only 2 organizations in the state, departments or divisions, that have more than 500 workers that have vaccination rates below 85%. The first one is the Washington National Guard. This one's interesting. I got questions, right? They're at 79.1%, but that might not be as bad as it sounds. The other one is the DSHS, the Rainier Division. They're at 83%. Every other state organization, division, department with more than 500 employees is over 85% vax. A vast majority of them are over 95% vax, and that's vaxxed or accommodations. A significant number of them are 97, 98%. There's even a couple of groups that are 100% vaxxed. Here's the interesting thing about the National Guard, where if we can, first of all, if I can go, God, work is so friggin' busy. If I can even have the time to go to the state briefing, one of the questions I would ask is, hey, the National Guard, according to the latest data from the state of Washington, is 79.1% vaccinated. The state of Washington has a deadline of October 18th. However, the Pentagon has set a deadline for National Guard service members to be fully vaccinated by June 30, 2022. So, are Washington State National Guard members beholden to the state mandate, or are they beholden to the Pentagon mandate? Which one supersedes the other? So, Roger, I'm the same way. Like, Roger, I'm reading your thing here about, like, you have to talk in code and stuff. I mean, look how we post on Facebook, right? C to Z's, yada, yada. And on TikTok, it's worse. It's like, I don't even want to say the word. Like, I try not to say the word vaccination. I try not to say or even write the word COVID. I won't say death or fatality. I use like yeet. I can't say gun. I'll say pew pew. It's just, oh my God. Mal-memorizing all the data. Yeah, that's the ADHD, the brain. Also, I'm reading it on the screen over here, actually. I'm not as slick as you think I am right now. We'll talk about the ferry situation a little bit further down. I don't want to conflate the numbers here in that. We also got numbers, at least through October 4, on exemptions. 1,228 state employees have asked for medical exemptions. 866 approved. 258 employees said, "Yeah, fuck it. I made a mistake. I want to do the exemption thing." And then 315 employees have asked for an accommodation. Quite frankly, I don't know what the difference between exception and accommodation. Exception, I would assume, is I don't get vaxxed. Accommodation is, can I work from home? That's what I'm guessing is what this is. And there have been 255 approvals. There's been almost 5,000 religious exemption requests because, we got to abuse that 4,000. We're only the least religious state in the country, in the nation, and like 7% of our state employees are asking for religious exemptions. Yeah, right. 4,849 asked. 4,219 approved. Jason rants. Jason, you wrote that story about how all the Washington State Patrol religious exemptions were denied, and everything on the dashboard says they were approved. Jason, we catch you in another lie. Were you lying again for ratings, Jason? Did you get your information from Dave Preston again? Friggin' bite me. From one Jew to another, bite me. There's about 1% of state employees that are suing the state trying to block the vaccine mandate. We already know this isn't going to happen, right? The federal court's going to say no. If they appeal to the Supreme Court, like as soon as it lands on their desk, they're going to go, all right, let's see what we got here. Let's see, state of Washington vaccine mandate. Yeah, no, next. I mean, that's literally what they're going to do. No, they're not. My rights and freedoms. Jacobson v. Massachusetts, 1905, Supreme Court, the end. Hospital workers. 88% of all Washington hospital workers are fully vaccinated, according to the Washington State Hospital Association as of October 4. When we say hospital workers, we're not just talking about doctors and nurses, clinicians. We're talking, from janitorial services and cooks and med techs and nursing homes, all the way up to ICU nurses, surgeons, skilled specialist doctors, and administrators. It's across the whole spectrum. Of that remaining 12%, you have 2 to 5% that are like, you're not bothering me. I'm not getting vaccinated. There is people who are partially vaccinated, so they just are not fully vaccinated yet. There are people who have had an approved exemption. They have people who have exemptions under review. And there's people that are waiting, are like, I don't know, I'm going to file exemption before the 18th. All right. And so that's what they have. They think that they're going to come in at about 98% vaccinated for hospital workers. And that's statewide. That isn't right. And so it's going to be uneven. We know the numbers will be lower in Eastern Washington at rural hospitals. And there's probably going to be some rural hospitals that are going to have devastating numbers of job losses, to be very candid. But they're going to be the outliers. We know that Evergreen Health is 97% vaccinated weeks ago. We know that UW Medicine, what I understand, UW Medicine would include Harborview and Children's. They're at 98% with a week to go. Right, and this is just what you're going to see. Peace Health, we already know, was at 97% because Peace Health did their mandate before the state of Washington did. So Peace Health is off the table. I don't know. Are there any Kaiser Permanente hospitals in Washington? I don't know. Is there? Someone let me know in the comments, because we know the Kaiser Permanente also just had theirs, and they were over 98%, and they had their mandate go into effect. There's a ton of data that supports that our hospitals will be around 98%. We're going to lose probably about 2% of staff statewide. A lot of that is going to be concentrated east of the Cascades. That's just what I believe. You're chasing from those consequences, running from those consequences, running from them now. I don't want no consequence. Yeah, that's what's going on. Oh, there you go. They took over the GHC facility in Bellevue. So there you go, Kaiser. We left out the state fire marshal. Basically what he says, the fire marshal is going to get fired. Thank you for setting up that softball. Kaiser is awful. You have no idea. Don't, Mama KDM, don't get me started on Kaiser, because Kaiser practically killed just about tried to kill my mother last year. That's right. U of W includes Valley Medical Center. That's very, very true. Thank you for that. That's correct. They're not losing. I mean, it's like, I don't know whoever said that. They're high. They're not losing 1/3 of their employees. There's 60,000 employees. They're not losing 1/3. They're not right. They're not even at 5,000. If it stopped right now, if that's it, if they didn't get a single another one, they're losing 5,000. Whoever said 20,000, they're high. They're gonna have the sads. They're gonna be really disappointed. Washington State Ferries had a little bit of a shit show this weekend, didn't they? They lost over 300 sailings there, 150 on Friday, 120 on Saturday, 50 on Sunday. Thursday, it was also particularly bad. So what the hell happened here? This is a complicated story. Yes, there was a sick out, and the sick out is the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back here. It was, the last brick on the suspension of the Ford F-150 in the back of the truck that made the springs go ping. That's kind of what happened here. But it's a complicated story because there's a lot more to this. And the story starts back in 2000, and it starts back in 2000 with a guy named Tim Eyman. And Tim Eyman in 2000 passed this initiative that people who are probably old enough to vote and are listening to my voice probably voted yes for. I know I did. I was new to the state. And it slashed car tabs to $35. Of course, the state of Washington found new and amazing ways to get around that $35 thing. That's a whole separate conversation. I'm not a fan of ST3, and that's no secret. But I will say some of the things that I predicted about ST3, I was completely wrong. I will say it tonight. I really expected ST3 to have way more delays than it did, and initially it did. Initially, it had a ton of delays, but they're actually ahead of schedule on many projects right now. And I'll go, all right, I'm wrong. Fine, wrong. I was wrong. I'm going to have access to I'm still going to have to drive to get to a train, but I'm actually going to have access to a train in a couple of years. I totally was like, stuff won't be on the east side while I'm still alive. I'll be retired by then. Wrong. It's all right. He passed this initiative. This gutted Washington State Ferry funding. And so what's happened over the last 20 years is a perfect storm, no pun intended, of several things. First of all, what you've got is you have vessels that are literally falling apart. The oldest ship in the fleet, if we go by when they had refits, actually goes back to 1989. That's the oldest vessel that they have. So its refit was 89. The completely oldest ferry that they have was built in 1959. It was built in 1959. It was refitted in 1994. That boat is ancient. So they've got problems where they have these ferries that should have been decommissioned over a decade ago, and they break down more and more often, and that creates problems in itself. The next thing you have is an aging of the workforce. Apparently, people don't want to go into maritime. I didn't know this, but there is just a general shortage of people that are like, yeah, I want a maritime job. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right, with all of the shipping problems we have, right, all these supply chain problems we have. But I didn't realize that this was like a real issue. But it is apparently not like it's a real issue, but a big issue about people who want to do maritime jobs. So they have a lot of people that have been retiring out of Washington State Ferries, and the youngins don't want to go work for Washington State Ferries. They don't want to do a ferry gig. And there's reason. My understanding, it's kind of a shitty gig. And I think that's part of the reason why people don't want to go in there. So that's the second problem that's been going on there. 70% of all funding for Washington State Ferries now comes from the sale of fares, people to take in. And of course, the whole idea of eliminating this funding was, well, we want to make the ferry system self-funding. And there were people who were vehemently against this because, again, if you live in Eastern, I don't ride a ferry. But if you live in the San Juans, you're like, you're killing us here. This is how we get around. If I'm not part of the 1% with my own yacht or a helicopter. So you've got that as an issue. And if you've been not under a rock, and maybe you're in the national audience, you don't know this, Washington State Ferry System is second largest in the world. It's the largest in the United States. It has 23 vessels. I believe there's 20 operational right now. There's one in refit. There's 2 that are broken down. I believe that. I know there's one in refit. And I'm not counting the Wenatchee as broken down because the Wenatchee had an engine room fire as part of its sea trials during its refit. And so anyway, you can get pedantic and go, no, you got 3 that are broken down. It's in refit. They go to 10 different ports of call or 10 different destinations. And the reason if you're not from the area and you're like, well, why don't you just build bridges? For some places like the San Juans, it's just way too far to build bridges. For, say, Edmonds to Kingston, Washington, first of all, it would be extremely challenging to build a bridge because it is a major point of sea commerce there. So you would have to build the bridge hundreds of feet high to accommodate cargo ships and cruise ship vessels that move past Edmonds on their way up from Seattle or Tacoma. And then the third issue that you have is a lot of our bodies of water here are really, really deep. This is kind of like at Mukilteo and Clinton, where it's just like, but it's just right there, right? It's just there, right? It's just, you can actually see the other ferry dock from here. Why do we got to do that? Because it would be so ridiculously expensive to build the bridge there. So that's why. That's why we have all these ferries. So it's a critical part of our infrastructure. It's technically part of our highway system. And that's why it's in with the Department of Transportation. So 3 weeks ago, 450 employees, Washington State Ferries, were unvaccinated. On Thursday morning, the number that was reported was 250. On Friday morning, the number was reported was 170. They have about 2,000 employees. So, of course, somebody who might be doing math in their head going, well, wait a minute, it's 93%. Well, if all 170 who aren't vaccinated, right? Because not all 170 that are unvaccinated, or I should say not, that have not provided their vaccination information to the state, are ultimately not going to get vaccinated. A group of them will, but they're probably getting pretty close to the line. So how did 75, 90, 100, 125 employees walking off the job when you have 2,000 bring the ferry system to its knees? This is why you got this whole long story before we get to the punchline. It wasn't just those employees walking off. It is 2 decades of neglect, of funding neglect, staffing neglect, care and replacing boats neglect, people not wanting to take maritime jobs. And the system is now so broken and so running so like a rubber band pulled as tight as it can that losing those employees walking out the door for the weekend had a devastating effect on the sailings. So if we say went back and this happened in, say, 2005, if all things were equal and this happened in 2005 and you had 170 people do a sick out, yeah, there have been slowdowns. You might have had some, but you would have not have had the shit show that was going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday, I guess, wasn't that bad. And I think what I read is pretty much back to normal. So was it the sick out? Yes. Are there a ton of Washington State Ferry employees that are like, yeah, I'm leaving and it's the end of the state of Washington? No. It's less than 10%. Is the Washington State Ferry system so starved for funds that it is staffed at a level that basically if somebody's like, yeah, I can't come in today, I'm sick, and it all falls apart? Yeah. That's kind of how they're staffed right now. Like basically every other company in the friggin' United States. All right. Let's talk about... I don't want to talk about this guy, but fine. We're going to talk about him. Nick Rolovich, the highest paid state employee in the state of Washington at $3.3 million a year for football coach. And I seem to understand that he gets his ass handed to him by the Huskies every year. Is that correct? I don't follow college football, but I think that's what I understand, right? The Cougs basically just get destroyed by the Huskies every year. Isn't that kind of what happens? But this guy makes $3.3 million to get his ass handed to him every year in the Apple Cup. And he's just been, doing, I don't know if I'm going to get vaccinated. Maybe, yeah, I think I will. Yeah, just kidding. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, Skeleton Cruise sucks. I see the comment. So then over the weekend, USA Today apparently held his feet to the fire, dude, what's going on? You got 8 days, 9 days left. It wasn't right. So what are you doing? And he's like, well, I applied for a religious exemption. I really didn't want to, but he's going to friggin' get it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. There could be videos that could appear of him cursing and swearing and, oh, we have a spammer. Hello, Betty. Hi, Betty. Bye, Betty. He's going to do that whole, he's going to friggin' get it. And there could be like videos of him worshiping Satan on a Sunday with 4 hookers and listening to some heavy metal album backwards and, talking to a group of atheists on how stupid religion is, and he'll still friggin' get the religious exemption. And the whispers I'm hearing, because the vaccination rate at Washington State University is like really high. Like for students, it's almost 99%. For staff, it's pushing 95%. They're not happy. They're just like, yeah, we all figured this was going to happen. And, football. So you could reach him on his WhatsApp. Anyway, so I like to just say he's called into special teams play. Call it into special teams play. Seattle Kraken. I'm actually excited. I like hockey. I'm excited about the NHL. I'm wicked disappointed in how unaffordable it is to go see a Kraken game. But the Seattle Kraken are going to be doing their debut tomorrow in Las Vegas. And they're doing it with 5 less players because they're under COVID protocols, because of course they are. Hey, if you're unvaccinated, you're in King County, you have a 16-time greater chance of dying of COVID-19. May the odds ever be in your favor. Let's do the hospital status rundown. I love hockey too, Roger. Carriso needs to go, and he's not going to go. And you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. He's going to get his religious example. He's going to get his friggin' religious exemption. Everyone knows it, right? It's just... Anyway, I just... Enough of that. 91% of all acute care beds are still occupied in the state of Washington. That number is holding flat. Why is that number not going down? Because hospitals are starting to do elective procedures again. And so that's why you're seeing this number is holding at 91%, even though the number of COVID patients are starting to go down. So 91% occupied. We're down below 17% with COVID. We should be under 10%. But the good news is we were up over almost at 22%. And we're now down to 16.9. It's going the right way. We have estimated 649 available acute care beds with staffing. ICU occupancy went down a lot over the weekend, 86.7. However, that might be artificial because it's a holiday weekend. We might not have all the reports in. We'll see tomorrow. So if the ICU numbers bump tomorrow, I don't think that was a flood of patients. I just don't think that we had as big a drop as it looked like that we had. 28% in the ICU have COVID. That's a big drop. And I'm like, oh, please let that be right. Again, you don't want that over 10%, but we're not over 30% now. So that's really good because 30% is bad. Estimate about 335 COVID patients in the ICU. Half are on ventilators. Ventilator survival rate, depending on age and other factors, when you have the Delta variant, is around 20 to 50%. It's pretty friggin' terrible. You go on a ventilator, it's not good. 7-day rolling average for new hospitalizations is down to 103. If we're taking in 110 patients from Idaho each week, again, that 103 is COVID patients, not all patients, but if we're taking in 110, so there you go. It's like taking in an extra day. We're doing, 7 for 8. Or 8 for 7. We're doing 8 for 7. 1,193 COVID patients and 166 on ventilators. We talk about hospital districts. Everybody's improved. The East region and the Northwest regions are still really bad. The East region improved a little bit. The one area where they saw significant improvement was the number of ICU COVID patients. They were up almost to 50%. They were at 47 and change. It dropped down to 42.3. That is still friggin' awful to be that high. The East region, which again is up against Idaho, plus 6 of the 9 lowest vaccinated counties are in that region. And so 92% of the ICU beds are used up. 91% of their acute care beds are used up. What a surprise. North region, which they're like in really good shape. Their ICUs at 66%. And their acute care is at 75%. They still have way too many COVID patients in there, but their bed utilization, the COVID patients take up a lot of resources, but those are good numbers there. The other one is the Northwest. That's essentially the Olympic Peninsula, and their numbers are bad. Acute care is 96%. They basically have no acute care beds. Well, you're 96%. Right, because when I say no beds, remember there's not a lot of hospitals in that on the Olympic Peninsula. The only reason we didn't put up a travel advisory, a no recreation travel advice for the Olympic Peninsula, is its overall close proximity to the Puget Sound region. Obviously, if you're out like Ozette, Nia Bay, right? If you're on the Forks, that area, yeah, you're kind of far from civilization over there. Biggest thing I can say is this is right now, it's still not the time to take up bungee jumping or skydiving. That's just the best way to put it. Schools, we got a bunch of school data. Lake Washington School District, we get a dump once a week. Bellevue, they've got a couple of schools that the biggest one is Highland Middle School. They've got 9 active COVID cases in there. So that one's a little that's interesting. Lake Washington School District, they added 6 more schools with active COVID cases, but there's nothing there that where they're breaking that yellow or the red. Lockwood Elementary, North Shore School District, 12 active COVID cases, 22 in quarantine over there, 12. So North Shore is status red because they got the 12. Any stats for Kitsap County? Not at my fingertips. Not at my fingertips. I can only give you the all glued together number. Are they in the West? I think they're in the West. Are they in the West or are they? I'm looking for them. Yeah, they're in the Northwest. Kitsap County's in that Northwest district. So 91.5% ICU beds are in use. 42% of people got COVID. Essentially 96% acute care beds are in use, and 25% have COVID. Bad numbers. Kitsap County is included in that data. I do know that Kitsap County is kind of you know what? Actually, I can give you the numbers. I do. Actually, I have that sheet open. Let's go to and I just closed it by accident. I swear to God, can't take me anywhere. I think I showed this sheet on one show before. I'm going to go ahead and pull the sheet up for you so y'all can see it. Why you show that screen? Fine, I move to this screen. I don't like this screen. It's hard for me to read. Here, you're not going to see me because I'm going to have to lean over. The screen's really far away. Trying to find the one where there's no me. Oh, you're stuck with me. Fine. Let's see. Kitsap County, 316 cases per 100,000 for 14-day moving average. 51.9% vaxxed. So there you go. There it is. Through the miracle of technology. Thanks for the Kitsap coverage. I just happened to have it open, but you're welcome. Let's see. Amazon has announced that they're delaying the return to office indefinitely, and they're just leaving it up to the individual business directors and what they want to do. Some directors will be like, yeah, you can work from home. They think some will be like, yeah, you need to come in a couple of days a week. And they think some, no, I want to see your happy ass in here every day. Because even though I work at a technology company, I don't understand how more modern work works. Anyway, that's how that's going to go down. We put that under local, right? Because Bellevue has a pretty big presence. Amazon has a pretty big presence in Bellevue. By the way, Amazon, Microsoft has a vaccine mandate. Twitter has a vaccine mandate. Fox News Corp has a vaccine mandate. Microsoft has a vaccine mandate, and Amazon doesn't. Just another reason to go, they're evil. Kirkland, what the hell? Like, Wineta, Northgate, 98034. You're like, seriously, you're the lowest vaccinated county on the east side now, or zip code. You're the lowest vaccinated zip code on the east side. And the needle barely moved this week. So get it together. I can't pronounce this. It's the drug I'm excited about. I can't. I'm too tired to pronounce it. It's this amazing antiviral drug that did really good in phase 3, like cut hospitalizations and death by 50%. They've formally applied for the emergency use authorization for that. Alaska continues the Hunger Games, although I will say the mayor of Anchorage, Alaska, managed to stay out of the news over the weekend, so congratulations for that. Idaho is continuing their Hunger Games. There isn't a whole lot of news. There actually isn't a whole lot of news out of all of these states because of Indigenous Peoples Day. Columbus was a bag of trash. But, a lot of these states were like, well, it's a holiday and we're not releasing any of the data, even though we're all in crisis standards of care and people are dying and all. Janice McGeechan made an ass out of herself over the weekend with the CNN reporter. It's gorgeous. It's just amazing. She went full Sarah Palin. She basically went full Sarah Palin when she got asked a pretty simple question, like a question that she should have just had an answer ready to go. Clearly, she's not used to hearing no. I mean, she is used to hearing no, but no, please stop. That's what she's used to hearing. But clearly, she's not used to hearing the word no from anybody. It's amazing how self-entitled one can be. I do have some good news out of Idaho. Oh, yes, you saw that on the ticker. Yes, good crack of seeing northern lights today. Boise Public Radio is reporting that the Idaho Medical Association has filed a formal complaint against Dr. Ryan Cole. I don't know. They're saying that we believes that he's violated sections of the Idaho Medical Practice Act by providing care that fails to meet the community standard of care, by promoting the sale of drugs that are not medically indicated, and by engaging in conduct that constitutes an abuse or exploitation of a patient arising out of the trust and competency placed in a physician by a patient. Yes, it is a formal. This would potentially be the first step in having his medical license revoked. So I would like to register a complaint. This man is killing people. Montana's government. I love how they're dealing with their COVID problem. We're just not going to report anything, hence it doesn't exist. Their hospitalizations were flat. They had the most number of people die in a month last month, and that's basically all we could find out in Montana. Texas Governor Abbott has signed a executive order that says there can be no vaccine mandates in the great state of Texas by anybody, and he is calling for a third session of the legislature to turn it into law. Whatevers. Like all these guys were going to... Did you remember there were... Right, the 24 attorney generals, we're going to sue Joe Biden to stop, right? And you're not even hearing anything about that because the attorney generals probably sat down and was like, hey, dummies, Jacobson v. Massachusetts, this is not going anywhere, right? You're just going to look stupid. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's going to take 2 seconds to go, okay, oh, what's this? Oh, 24 attorney generals suing the president. Oh, that's kind of sexy. And suing them over vaccine. No, next. That's how it would go. And you don't hear any about it. Oh, totally, right? And you can take Florida with you. And I wouldn't wish Idaho and Canada. I don't know what to do about it. The trench with gasoline. I'm an advocate of trench filled with gasoline and flames. Anyway, Texas keeping the Hunger Games going over there. Wyoming is going to be multiple hospitals in Wyoming asked the state government for permission to go to crisis standards of care last week. That's where they're at in Wyoming. Wyoming's going to be the next. So we're going to have 4 states with at least, one hospital operating in crisis standards of care, and they're all these, with the exception of Alaska, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, super low vaccination rates, super red states against anything sane and rational. In Wyoming, State Representative Chuck Gray has called for a special session. Literally, why state officials are discussing whether to go to crisis standards of care to move the state so that they will also ban any vaccine mandates in the state. It's so funny. He came in here meowing at me, but he also knows whenever I'm on the air, and he's like, "You're going to hold me up and put me on the camera, so I'm leaving now." All right, I just kind of blasted through the whole thing there. I already bagged on Solon. We already bagged on. We talked. Northern Lights. If you got it in the gas tank, you go somewhere where there's less lights. Understand? You'd probably be able to look up and go, "Cool." I don't have it in the gas tank. I don't. And so let's see. While I'm waiting for the ticker to go by, let me see. Is there anything in the breaking news? Every now and then, Ray, we look at this stuff and there's breaking news. Let's see. Yeah, Donald Trump wants to take over the world. I gotta say, like the whole oil's over $80 a barrel. I'm really surprised by this. I may crow on a prediction that I made it like a decade ago. So, Raiders coach John Gruden got the boot apparently because of a bunch of homophobic and misogynist emails that came out from him. We already talked about what Christopher Columbus, what a piece of trash he is. There's something going on down there in Miami. Police Chief Art Estivido, who has been embattled since he went into that role. He's only been enrolled for 6 months, and the city's had enough. They're looking to fire his ass. I guess we're going to close talking about politics. We're going to have a bunch of politics stuff that are coming up, and then I'm calling it a night. But I think there's a good opportunity here to talk about politics. Thursday, we're going to be showing a bunch of videos on Thursday and then Monday next week of candidates here in Kirkland. We're also going to be showing a video. There's a story coming out on the 15th. Renee's doing it. I think it's in Seattle Gay News. For the city attorney's position. I have opinions on that race, and I will echo my opinions after that review or after that interview comes out. We will have that interview on Monday. We will have 3 interviews from the city of Kirkland on Thursday, including Mayor Penny Sweet. And we'll have 3 more interviews on Monday. From city of Kirkland. So we're doing, we're getting closer to the election. We wanted to get these interviews out kind of as ballots were going. I know there's a bunch of people who want me to talk about the races that are going on in Bellevue. And I've been like, I want to do it closer to when the ballots come. Because see what happened, right? Nobody's talking about right. There was all this stuff that came out about these people running for the school board in Bellevue that are out of their friggin' minds. And it was all out like a month ago. And I had a bunch of people. I was like, no, it's not the time to talk about it because everyone's going to forget. We got to remind people. So the reminder's coming up on that. Let's see. Is there anything else? What's your view on Christopher Columbus? Let's see. There's a poll here. What's your very favorably, unfavorably, very unfavorably, no opinion. They don't have piece of trash as an answer, so I can't answer it. Newt Gingrich still owes $4.6 million from his failed 2012 presidential campaign. Oh, let's see. What was this? I'm just checking headlines real quick before we go. I'm not really seeing anything here. I know one thing I'm happy about. Oh, my hat's not here. I'd put on my Red Sox hat if it was. Damn, my Red Sox hat is not here. I would have put on my Smash Mouth singer slurs words, curses fans at chaotic live show. Wasn't Smash Mouth like they're not doing shows if you got to be vaccinated to go? Wasn't Smash Mouth one of these bands? Oh, and he gave the Nazi salute to the crowd. Hey there, you're a rock star. Get Venmo, get paid. Hey man, to destroy your career now. Up on stage, you're not relevant. I have to work on those lyrics. Okay, so that's right. Let's see here. In excerpts from the video, the band struggled to perform over a feedback Pierce PA system. Harwell 54 was seen dropping a drink, swaying on stage, slur singing his kind call. He stopped mid-song and said, "I'll fucking kill your whole family, I swear to God," he told one fan in the audience. He said that he would never leave the house if he was more gifted at spanking his monkey. Harwell's been on hiatus. I saw this thing like the guitar player from Judas Priest. I can't think of his name. This is like one of the most metal things of all time. Totally metals. Apparently, like the lead guitar player of Judas Priest had an aortic aneurysm rupture while he was on stage. It apparently wasn't a bad, because it was a really bad one, right? He would have just dropped dead on the stage within a few. He just kept playing. His chest cavity's filling up with blood. He's just friggin' rocking out while he's literally dying on stage. Totally metals. All right, Copper Union. Yeah, I expected that here. I just, people like, you're scaring, it drives me crazy. You're scaring people, malcontent. Cairo's headline: Washington hospitals brace for thousands of employees to leave. But I'm scaring people. Has the Seattle? I noticed the Seattle police got they were they were updating their vaccination numbers on the daily, right? They did it for 2 days, and apparently somebody told them stop. I wonder if that somebody was Mike Solon, because the vaccination numbers are going to probably hit 90% or plus anyway. But we don't. Doesn't play the narrative. Be afraid. You must be afraid. There are going to be a lot of friggin' Seattle police officers. I can just go get a job somewhere else, and then they're going to find out that other police departments don't pay $150,000 a year. Yeah, it's nothing else. All right. I guess the last thing I want to say is I can't friggin' believe what my beloved Red Sox pulled off tonight. I can't believe it. I am friggin' beyond stunned on what they pulled off. Step right up for the institutionalized pestilence. Yes, spam those hearts. Go ahead and spam your hearts for our mod and admin team. They work so hard for you. Let them know that you love and appreciate them. You're not following us on TikTok. I know there's not a lot of watching us right now, but if you're not following us on TikTok, please follow us, because we're getting close to 10,000. I never thought we'd get to 10,000. So I am not a Red Sox fan. Excuse me. I'm a Boston boy. I have been a Red Sox fan all the way back to 1978 when the Red Sox had to play the one-game series at Fenway Park in a playoff tie to lose, blew like a 21-game lead going into September, and this historic epic collapse. 1986, 5 worst words you could say to a Red Sox fan. It's a slow roller to Buckner. Yes. Yep, suffered through that in 86. Then there was 98. Then there was 2000. 2003 was horrible. 2003, I'm going to class. I'm taking these classes. I'm going to class. I'm listening to the game in the car. I get to where I'm going to the class, and the Red Sox are up like 2-6, and it's like the 6th inning. And I'm like, we got this. 2000. It was game 7. Like, we got this. We got Pedro on the mound. We're up 4. I'm going to come out of this class and we're going to the World Series. And we lost because they kept Pedro on the mound one game, a little too long. And then we had a third base coach that if he was a crossing guard, was it Grady Little? Was he the third base coach? If he was a crossing guard for a school, he would have got kids run over to daily. Go, go ahead, just go, cross the street, go. Oh, I was just like, there were times I remember that season I watch a game and we're just like, why did you wave him on? It's like, come on, dude, really? You're just waving everybody on, stop. And then there was 2004. And a miracle happened. And as a Red Sox fan, I could tell you, most of us didn't care about the World Series. What we cared about was that we beat the Yankees. We came back from the dead, 3 games down, 3-0. And we got our asses handed to us, 19-6 in game 3. And my best friend in the whole world sent an email, because it wasn't the face Twitter, TikTok, Insta then. And it was with a little video, like a GIF clip or link to a video clip from Animal House with was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? And I remember emailing back to that group going like, I just want a pity win at this point. I just don't want to get swept. But come on, no one's come back from 3-0, and they've demolished us. And I did not watch game 4. I didn't watch it because I'm like, I don't watch it. It's just going to be pain and suffering. I'm not watching this game. And of course, you have this miracle that happens in game 4. Like everybody knows, second base is going to get stolen. Everyone, they pull it off. They win the game in extra innings. I wake up in the morning. I'm pissed. I'm pissed they won. And I'm like, you do this to me. You have done this to me since I was a little child in 1978. You have now made me care again. I have to care to just watch us lose in either game 5, 6, or 7. But fine, I will watch. And we danced on the lawn of the Yankees, on their lawn, in their house. And the look, and the cameras were panning across the faces of the Yankees fans. And their faces were just like the faces that we had for the last, as long as I could remember. The what the hell just happened? This was destined. We were supposed to win here. Maybe there really is this friggin' curse of the Bambino thing. And so, for a number of us, that was the World Series coming back, this historic comeback, and we demolished the Yankees in Game 7 in their house. Johnny Damon got a grand salami in the 2nd or 3rd inning. We friggin' demolished them. And it was like the World Series. There were a lot of people. It was just like, yeah, we win the World, whatever. It's like, this was better. This is better than the World Series. And then to sweep the Cardinals on the night of a blue moon. And then here's the thing. When they won, and I'm watching this at my house, and they win, I don't cheer or anything. I'm just in stunned silence. It's like, we don't win. We don't win the whole thing. Something goes wrong. It's like, not only we just won this in the most epic way possible. It's one of the most historic. It's truly one of the most historic comebacks, if not the most historic comeback in baseball in that AL series against the Yankees. And then we sweep the Cards on the night of a blue moon. And I was just in stunned silence. I was on my friend with me, amigo Bill, and he was silent too. And I just like, did this really just happen? He's like, I don't know. I need someone to pinch me. And then the next morning when I got up, the first thing I did is I ran to my computer and I went to ESPN.com because I was like, I didn't believe it. So yeah, I'm not a bandwagon Red Sox fan. Nope. Yeah, I know. Dave Niehaus was great. I'm not seeing my Alex Cora ball. By the way, I will say this too. I'll close with the Mariners fans. Yeah, real disappointment. But you know what? When's the last friggin' season the Mariners were in it to the last game? Mariners were in it to the last game this year. There's nothing slouch on 89 wins. This was a team that everybody thought was 70-win team. Everybody thought this was a 70-win team. They were written. This team was written up. Like, don't you remember back in March, the one of the owners of the Mariners was just basically like, I just screw around with the payroll and everything else to screw with everybody's lives, and I don't care about the team, and it's kind of a drain on me and whatever, and as long as I got anything to say about it, we're not friggin' going to win anything. Has everybody already forgot this thing at the Bellevue Club in March? All this bullshit stuff that he had to say, and the Mariners almost did a major league on him, right? I mean, it was total. The movie Major League, where they're supposed to be the worst team in baseball, and I don't think the Mariners were expected to be that bad, but I totally wanted to see, a 3-way tie or a 4-way tie. 4-way tie was possible on that day. Yankees, Red Sox both had to lose. Mariners and Blue Jays would have had to both win. If that had happened, you'd have a 4-way tie. You'd have this crazy playoff scenario. It'd have been friggin' amazing. Anyway, it didn't go that way. Yeah, like that's a weird situation with the Padres. I mean, with the Giants and the Dodgers, right? You have 105 wins, and that's only good enough for the wild card. What a world. All right, Malcontents, that's enough friggin' baseball talk. Someone just got me off on a rant, accusing me of being a fair weather fan. Be good to each other. Wear a mask. Get vaxxed. Give a crap. And we will see you on Thursday with some political interviews. And I really, really want to get back into the other studio. I kind of have a forcing function with these political interviews to get back in there. So, oh, ow. Seahawks fans. I would say Seahawks fans need to friggin' write off like Geno Smith. I didn't even know Geno Smith was friggin' like, how old is Geno Smith? Why did I think he's only 31? Why did I think I thought he was way older than that. Yeah, because like as a Patriots fan, I know Geno Smith because he played for the Jets. And the Jets are trash. And he's been to 1, 2, 3, 4. He's been 4 teams. Geno Smith. I feel bad. It's like, man, you're hanging your hopes on Geno Smith. That's ugly. Nah, I wouldn't be hanging my sports balls hopes on Geno Smith. That's for sure. Let's see. Well, it's not showing his win-loss records here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The hell? It just shows his. It's not showing like he played 16 games. That's fine. How come it doesn't have his win-loss? This doesn't tell me anything. Oh, this tells me all I need to know. Passer rating 66.5, 77.5, 87. There you go. That's his pinnacle year, 2015. Passer rating of 87.9. His 2018 passer rating 39.6. Didn't play in 2019 at all with Seattle. He played in one game in 2020. 5 attempts, 4 completions, 80%, got 33 yards, passer rating of 94.2. But of course, it's just, and he friggin' fumbled the ball anyway. So, and he was sacked once. That's not his fault. I mean, this is the problem the Seahawks got, is they have no they have no defense. When I heard Russell Wilson was injured, I found it really ironic that Russell Wilson got injured doing a pass, that it's just kind of a bad luck injury. I wasn't watching the game. I heard he got in. My first thought was, he was scrambling for his life and he got smothered, and it just finally caught up with him, because every time he friggin' scrambles, and and look, I'm not a fan, but I do have some investment because it's the home team. And when I've watched Seahawks games and I see him running for his life, because every year he's getting older, and every time I see him run for his life, I'm kind of like, is this the one? Is this the hit? Is this where he's going to have the ACL? Is this the ACL? Is this going to be like the out for 3 weeks concussion? Is this what this is going to be? Is he going to have a high ankle injury? What's going to happen here? And so to see this video of it was bad luck. It's just total bad luck. Yeah, I know quarterback rating is I know there's a lot of talk in football about quarterback rating should just be thrown into the trash. But Mama KDM, the Seahawks O-line is sucked for a really long friggin' time. I mean, let's not forget, there was a lot of talk, a couple of years ago, that Russell Wilson wanted out because basically he was so tired of, having 3 players on top of him while he's laying on the friggin' turf. Just no O-line protection. And this has been a problem. So, anyway, we could talk about this all night, but I'm going to go. I'm going to behave tonight. All right, Malcontents, be good to each other. All that other good stuff. And Malcontent out. Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontents Antifa, fuck you!
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what